Thank you for watching this tutorial on using the EndNote program. EndNote is a computer program that helps you organize and store your citation information as well as to format those citations as you write in Microsoft Word. This tutorial is going to be broken up into several videos to make the download of those videos shorter and easier to watch. So I'm starting at the library's web page, and we have an entire research guide devoted to the program EndNote. To get to it, you go to the research guides button right below the search box. And then you could search the alphabetical list for EndNote, but on the quick links just to the right there is a quick link to it right here. So I'm just going to click on EndNote. This entire guide deals with EndNote, and there's lots of information here. We're going to do a fairly quick tutorial of how to use it, but there's a more extensive tutorial, and you can see how to use it in these training sessions. They do tend to run between an hour and a half and 2 hours long, and you can register for them here. There's also all the instructions in those are given in various places on the guide. So we're going to start at the Getting Started tab, and there's information on getting EndNote here for faculty and staff or anybody who has an email that ends in @sdstate.edu without the jacks. There's also information here for getting it if you have an @jacks.sdstate.edu email. I am going to note that we currently have EndNote 9. It is not up on the MyState website just yet. It may be by the time you're seeing this. But if you don't see X9, you can contact me. My name is Elizabeth Fox, and I'll give you contact information for me at the end of these videos. And I can get you the X9 information. That just came out the week before school started, so not everything is updated. I also want to note that EndNote X9 does not seem to be stable on a Mac right now. So if you end up using X8, that's fine. It does almost all of the same things as X9. It gives you information for installing EndNote, but EndNote installs like just about any other program on either Windows or the Mac, so you shouldn't have any problems installing it once you have it. And we are going to look at some of the other tabs on this guide as we go through the training. So let me go to the EndNote screen. If EndNote starts like this with just a gray screen, or you can see another program through it, the Mac doesn't have this gray screen. It just has a clear screen. So I might be able to see the Chrome window through EndNote on my Mac. This is fine. It's like starting Microsoft Word without actually opening a document. You can't do anything right now except open a document. So I'm going to create a new EndNote library. I'm going to go to File and New. And EndNote will want to name your EndNote library My EndNote Library, and that's fine. I'm actually going to put the year on this one because this is not My EndNote Library. And then you'll want to save your EndNote library somewhere on a hard drive. And you can actually save it on a jump drive. I used to tell people to save it to the cloud, but EndNote has been noticing that saving your library to the cloud causes the library to become corrupt over time. So save it to your documents or your desktop or a flash drive of some sort, but no longer save it to the cloud. So I'm just going to save this in my documents. I'm going to click on Save. And in a minute, we'll have a library open up. There we go. I'm going to maximize this so we can see it better. So once we have a library, unfortunately, EndNote opens up a blank library. So we have to get stuff into the library. Before we do that, we're going to set EndNote up so it's going to work as well as it can for us. So we're going to set some preferences. This is one of the places where a Mac and Windows operate slightly differently. I'm on a Windows computer, so I'm going to go to my Edit menu. If you are on a Mac, there will be another menu over next to File that says EndNote X9 or X8 or whatever version you have. And you'll go to that menu, and you will look for Preferences. Once you have the Preferences set up, it will make EndNote work really well for you. We're just going to look at one preference for this. We're going to look at the Find Full Text preference. When you first download EndNote, it's going to look like this. You're going to have these 4 things checked, and that's fine. You want to keep them checked. You're going to have a blank Open URL path box, and we do need to fill that in, and I'll show you where to get that in a moment. You're also going to have a blank Authenticate with box, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that one because that one's a little bit trickier than the URL path. So I'm going to go back to my web page, and here I have a tab on the EndNote guide for Preferences. The Preferences tab is alphabetized. These boxes are alphabetized by the preference with the exception of the Find Full Text. Because that is the most important one, I put that right up first. And so in here we have some red text. This red text are the copyable URLs so that you can just copy this URL and paste it into EndNote. Here's the Open URL path box. This one you do actually need for EndNote to work properly. So I'm going to copy this URL, and I'm going to go over to EndNote, and I'm going to paste it in the Open URL box. The Authenticate one, as I said, is a little bit more complicated. It too is on this web page. It's a much shorter URL. It's the second red URL. Whether you need it or not is where the complication comes in. If you are primarily doing your research from your computer off campus, then you want to use that Authenticate with URL. What this does is it says when you're off campus, okay, I'm using this IP address to access a database or to find full text or to search a database or whatever, but I need to actually go to the library first and go to their authentication server and send that IP address to the databases. And then the database will understand that I am a part of SDSU and I can access these databases. So if you're off campus, that Authenticate URL box is really important, and you'll want to copy that and put it in. I, however, am on campus right now, so I don't want to fill this in. If it's filled in, when I go to find full text or to search online from EndNote, it's going to ask me to log in, even though I'm on campus, and it should know that I don't need to log in. So when you're on campus, having the Authenticate with box just complicates your life. If you're off campus, you absolutely have to have it filled in if you're going to do anything with our databases. So because I'm on campus, I just have the Open URL path, and I do not have the Authenticate with box filled in. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. But I will mention that that guide does talk about all of these other preferences, and there are some things that you can do to make EndNote work the way you want it to. So you can take some time looking on this guide at all of these other preferences and seeing how you want to set EndNote up for your own use.